This is GBC News. The headlines. The Chief Minister's application for judicial review against Sir Peter Openshaw will be heard in the Supreme Court in November. The Bankers Association approves a long-term strategy to shape the direction of the sector over the next 5 years. The row between the government and opposition over Gibraltar's heritage continues. And UMI rolls out its 10 gigabit broadband connections. Good evening. The Chief Minister's application for judicial review against Sir Peter Openshaw will be heard in the Supreme Court on the 9th of November. A rolled-up hearing heard by Chief Justice Anthony Dudley is expected to last 10 to 15 days and will consider both permission to proceed and the substantive merits of the claim. Fabian Picardo is challenging 14 critical findings in the McGrail inquiry report, which he has described as irrational or unreasonable, unlawful and unfair. In a detailed defence, Sir Peter Openshaw argues the Chief Minister's claim is fundamentally flawed and should not be allowed to proceed. The court has set out a timeline for lawyers on both sides to file skeleton arguments as well as agreed lists of issues, chronology of events, essential documents and legal authorities. They may also file any items on which they do not agree. Mr. Picardo is represented by Sir Peter Caruana KC, while Sir Peter Openshaw is represented by Julian Santos KC. The government has again rejected GST criticism of its decision to appoint Daniel Greenberg to draft the Conflicts of Interest Bill, saying the opposition's position is contradictory and politically motivated. Number 6 says the opposition has itself acknowledged Greenberg's unimpeachable independence, while simultaneously arguing he should not have been chosen. It says if any conflict had arisen, Greenberg would not have accepted the appointment. A spokesperson says Mr. Asopardi has himself earned hundreds of thousands of pounds from the government and had applied for the role of Solicitor General. The Gibraltar Bankers Association has approved a new long-term strategy framework designed to shape the direction of the sector over the next 5 years. Known as Strategy 2030, the framework is built around 3 key pillars: promote, educate and protect. Katie Docker spoke to GBA President Katie Muldoon after strategy was formally approved at the association's annual general meeting.
The strategy is to give the banking industry a long-term direction and a framework that's flexible, that's focused and which we can evolve with over time, because the industry is so fast evolving, whether that's regulation or whether that's technology or the fraud risks. And so this really gives us something to work towards over the next decade.
So the strategy is built around 3 pillars: promote, educate and protect. Can you explain what each of those means in practice?
Yeah, so promotion is all about promoting the banking industry as a whole, but also working with stakeholders in order to promote Gibraltar as a vibrant finance centre. Educate is really about talent development. So this is about our people. We employ over 600 people in the banking industry, and we want to make sure that they are given the best training available. But it's also educating the wider community and the next generation of the opportunities which banking offers. And then finally, our last pillar, protection, is all about protecting the consumer, our customers, but also protecting the integrity of the banking industry as a whole.
Education is clearly a major focus. And how important is it to attract younger people into banking and financial services? And what opportunities does the sector offer locally?
It's absolutely fundamental. Our people are really the heartbeat of the industry. We're a major employer, and the industry does offer a variety of jobs. And so our job in the Gibraltar Bankers Association is making people aware of the vast variety of jobs that are available and the career opportunities.
The GST has described the state of our Second World War defence structures as embarrassing. The opposition says the government should admit to having abandoned Gibraltar's military assets for years. It points to the government's description of a newly announced inventory as a first step, as implying a comprehensive assessment, and maintenance programme has not been in place to date.
The GSD says moving the 9.2-inch gun to an exposed area
where it says it's rusting away in full view of everyone, epitomises what it describes as wider neglect by the government. It also calls Heritage Minister John Cortez's claim that there's never been so much done for heritage as delusional. The GSD want the government to provide details on the annual £1.4 million of taxpayer money it says is being spent in relation to sites such as Parsons Lodge and the Stay Behind Cave, which it says are underutilised as attractions. The opposition party is also calling for a breakdown of the estimated £6 million to be paid in site management systems in connection with Upper Rock entry fees. The GSD's Damon Bassino says these further government-private commercial arrangements raise legitimate questions and ought to be the subject of full transparency and accountability.
Meanwhile, the Minister for Heritage has defended the use of the expressions of interest process for sensitive heritage sites, describing it as a transparent method suited to complex projects requiring specialist expertise. At the Northern Defences alone, John Cortes says the approach has attracted £4 million in private investment. He accuses the GST's Damon Bassino of prolonging the argument simply to maintain his media profile, adding that while the GST focuses on negativity, the government will be getting on with protecting and preserving Gibraltar's heritage for future generations. The Teachers' Union has called on the government to urgently publish details of an agreement on proposed changes to school summer hours. The NASUWT says the agreement was reached in principle with the Chief Minister last month, but a draft agreement has yet to be received, with the end of term approaching. The union says teachers, parents and students need clarity and certainty to plan effectively. UMI says it's rolled out a new generation of 10 gig fibre broadband after a 7-figure investment in its network infrastructure. The company says the technology is designed to meet growing demand from streaming, gaming and multiple connected devices in the home, adding that it's the first provider in Gibraltar to introduce it locally. With the rollout now underway across its network, our reporter Kevin Ruiz asked UMI spokesperson Jimmy Imosi what the upgrade will mean for consumers.
Well, the straightforward answer is a lot more bandwidth. But more importantly, it allows the EROs that we supply everyone with to get to their full capacity. It means that, unlike in the past, if you have a Wi-Fi device connected, you're going to see well over a gig throughput, provided your device can cope with that. Because the thing now is that we're ahead of the technology. A lot of phones still have to catch up now with what the ERO can do. But if you have the right device, you'll find that even on your Wi-Fi, you're going to get 1.5 gig of throughput potentially, and simultaneously about a gig of bandwidth on anything plugged into the ERO. So you have full access to 2.5 gig of capacity.
Now, it sounds like a huge investment in a sector which is evolving, changing, fast-paced. So are there any risks? I mean, this is a huge investment, or are you building the company, or are you future-proofing it?
Well, we're future-proofing it because the future with everything and TV as well is streaming. I mean, bandwidth just keeps on going up. If bandwidth is available, people seem to find a way to make use of it. And what we've done over here is we've jumped up to the next technology, which is the 10 gig backhaul, through which we're giving you 2.5 gig. But the structure also allows us to very quickly increase that in the future as and when it's needed, it's required. So from the 10 gig, the next jump up would be to 25, and from there to 50, and then we can go on. So we're future-proofing the company. Right now, we're giving you, I mean, there's nothing anybody can think of where you're going to need anywhere near the amount of bandwidth we're giving you. So from our point of view, what we're giving you just works. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to worry about it. Whatever you switch on, you're getting the full max capacity you can get out of it.
Now, you said UMI designs its services specifically around Gibraltar's needs rather than simply following UK or Spanish trends. How has this shaped this latest investment?
Well, with people streaming more and more, which is the trend and the direction everything is going, the bandwidth will allow them to do so. And if you add that to our smart DNS technology, which allows them, unlocks the ability to stream channels from or providers from everywhere else in the world, it allows customers on their smart TVs to watch pretty much whatever they want in full 4K and in the full quality that's offered by the providers.
With this new infrastructure in place, what new services or products become technically possible that weren't before? Like, for example, TV streaming, cloud-based services, or enhanced bundle offerings?
Well, I mean, quite frankly, what we already offer is more than anybody needs. So as we said before, this is more future-proofing. I mean, you can already do pretty much everything you're ever going to want to do. And all we're making sure is that as things evolve, you'll continue to be able to do whatever it is you're going to want to do. But bear in mind, this also includes what you can do internally in your own home. So, for example, printing or accessing and other internal storage and all the rest, that's going to be faster as well. Whereas right now, you're restricted to the capacity or the link you have in your own home. So it's not just internet, it also gives you speeds to things within your own household.
An important one for people, how will this affect people's pockets? You say you're not hiking your prices.
We're not hiking our prices. It's the same prices. There's no change to the public in terms of cost.
Despite the investment?
I'm sorry?
Despite the investment that you've made, there's no hike in prices for the customer.
That's right, yes. This, with the investment we made, there's still no hike in price. We're just keeping up to date and making sure that everything's going to carry on smoothly and future-proof and everything else, but the customer's not going to suffer any additional cost because of this.
The Deputy Chief Minister has been in Washington for a number of political and diplomatic engagements. Joseph Garcia has met key figures to communicate Gibraltar's position, provide an update on treaty negotiations and discuss the wider strategic and commercial interests we share with the US. He said conversations have also focused on evolving geopolitical challenges in the Atlantic and Mediterranean regions and the continued important location of Gibraltar. You're watching GBC News. Still to come, Unite marks Nurses' Day, and we show you what an exhibition by an art therapist looks like. We'll be back in a few minutes. You're watching GBC News. Catalan Bay Road will be closed to vehicles overnight from 9:30 p.m. to 7 a.m, starting tonight and continuing until the 21st of May, as work continues on the East Side Sewer Transfer Scheme. During those hours, access to Catalan Bay and both worlds will be via Europa Advance Road, with pedestrian access unaffected. Most bus services should not be affected, although the night bus on Friday and Saturday will be diverted between Williams Way and Chatham Counterguard. Diversion signs will be in place and drivers are being advised to allow extra time for journeys. Unite National Officer Stuart Davies says Gibraltar is very lucky to have so many dedicated people in the nursing profession. Unite the Union held an event at Transport House to mark International Nurses' Day, with speakers from across the board, including the Health Minister.
Well, we're delighted today to be marking the week in which is International Nurses' Day, to celebrate and mark the massive contribution that nurses make around the world, but obviously particularly here in Gibraltar. The fact that we have so many people who are willing to dedicate themselves to this profession, we are fortunate as a society to have people willing to do that, to care for people and to actually put their energies into caring for people in the nursing profession. So we like to say thank you to them. Today's event is to say thank you to all nurses around the world, but particularly those that look after us here in Gibraltar. So thank you to our nurses, and we hope to have a really good event.
With a focus on speaking out about symptoms and encouraging women to be aware of their bodies, Get Lippy is an awareness campaign for the 5 gynecological cancers. Cancer survivors Francesca Makey, Sophie Clifton Tucker-Headley and Melanie Cipollina-Giuliano shared their stories on Gibraltar Today. In an open and honest conversation, they spoke of receiving their diagnoses and how they take the positives from a life-altering situation.
I had no symptoms, which is the scary part. The thing with early cervical cancer is there often aren't any, which makes having your smear all the more crucial. So I was just having my routine smear. Following the birth of my first child in 2022, I started having abnormal smears for the very first time in my life, but it was sort of borderline, and so I was put on that 6-month watch list, so you just go in every 6 months, have another smear. Same thing every time, a few colposcopies here and there. But then after the birth of my second child, things just seemed to escalate. I think probably the hormones played a huge part in this. And yeah, then I got my diagnosis in November.
How quickly did life change after hearing those words, you've got cancer?
Well, like we said, I think everyone's been touched by cancer in some way. And I try to be honest without sounding like a sad documentary, but it's it's a bit abstract until it happens to you, and you're sat in that chair and they say that word, and then you're like, wow, okay, so this is what that feels like. It's kind of deafening. It's like a deafening panic, especially when you have children, but even if you don't, it's scary.
It's only been this past year and a half where I felt comfortable sharing it. Also, my children weren't aware of it. So it was only by accident that my son stumbled upon an interview I did in Pamplona. So I had to tell him the truth. So I obviously shared it with my daughter. But that was such a huge relief, because now I felt I could share, because I wanted to share the story. I wanted, for people to have that awareness, because you just don't think it's going to happen to you. Through the Instagram page, I've been able to not only share my story, but also just try to motivate people, because I know how it affects you mentally, physically. If you put out good energy, you see good energy. If you're focusing on the negative, you just pick up the negative. And even if you start small, eventually you'll get there.
I've been working very closely with consultant gynecologist Dr. Gerges from the GHA, and he actually came up with this ABCDE system to try and kind of spot the red flag symptoms. The A is any changes in your abdomen, so any abdominal bloating, loss of appetite, weight loss. The B is for bleeding, which is probably the most obvious one, and actually abnormal bleeding is one of the key signs of 3 of the 5 gynae cancers. The C, changes in the vulva. The D is for discharge, and the E, we wanted to find something for pain, really, so we put excessive pain, pelvic pain, coital pain, or any new or unexplained pain that is not usual for you. So if you do have any of those symptoms, and if they are persistent, please go and get checked. No question is too silly, and it could save a life, and it's proven that early detection does save lives, especially when it comes to gynecological cancers. If they are caught early, they can be preventable. So please do get those seen too.
If you want to watch the full interview, it's available on our website and on the Gibraltar Today podcast. Art therapist Joaquima Rios is currently showing her first exhibition at the Fine Arts Gallery. The Art of Becoming invites interaction and introspection as Joaquima highlights the importance of using art to your benefit. She believes art exists in every aspect of our lives and we should employ it in our own self-care, as she explained to Ian Triai-Clarence.
Art is everywhere, so it's in media that we consume, books we read, music we listen to, and that is instilled with us from the moment that we are born. The books we see, stuff that we learn in school, and the first thing we ever learn to do is hold a pencil, how to draw, your first scribble, and I think that's very life cycle of us, that we constantly make artwork, and I think that's something that people should still keep in tune with, and I think that's how I feel when I make art. It makes me feel very myself and something that I can always turn to. It's very expressive, and it makes me also link back a bit to my inner child. So,
seeing it as an ever-present part of our lives, Joaquima emphasises that art can be put to good use, an essential tool for our own self-care.
I've always had art there for me. I've also gone through my own struggles, and art is actually the first thing I turned to when I had those struggles. So I wasn't a very artistic person when I was younger. I turned to art when I was 16 in the college, and that kind of sparked this new awakening, and something that was like a safety net. I didn't feel good, I want to feel better, so I made art. And that kind of started transcending. So I started making more art, and it just kept making me feel better. So it was more like a diary that I don't have to write words in. I could just express and share it. And sharing your artwork with other people who might feel the same also opens doors to more conversation about it.
Her views on art underpin Joaquima's work as an art therapist. They're the motivation behind this exhibition, her first. It's a space she's sharing with others, although the message still comes from a deeply personal place.
I'm particularly attached to this piece. It's a piece that had actually followed me from university all the way back home. It's about childhood abandonment and how it manifests as an adult. And those are just some situations I dealt with growing up, and how to navigate that. So I wasn't just abandoning my work or my clients or myself. I had to learn how to undo all of that and like really see that I am capable enough to be an artist or a therapist. And, you know, it was challenging and I abandoned that piece for a long time, but I got back to it. And it also links a bit into identity and dissociation, like, you know, struggling to find your place, whether it's in your personal life or even as a therapist. It was quite difficult as well, trying to find where to go, especially I was the only one here.
That connection that you're talking about between art and artist, did it help you? Did you find it therapeutic? How did you feel once you finally completed it, if you'd abandoned it for a while first?
I felt really emotional, actually. I cried when I finished it. It was sort of like coming back home. That's the best way I could describe it.
Many of the other artists exhibited here are showing their work for the first time. It's all in keeping with Jakima's belief that art is to be shared.
I gave them the title of the exhibition and a bit of a brief of what I wanted it to be about, which was about identity and growth and kind of like what art means to you or how you represent yourself in your artwork. And they've kind of all gone off and done their own thing. But they've come back and they've really have done a really good job. And we have a lot of new people as well. So it's their first time presenting.
And her parting message is concise, but perhaps the most important. Art is for everyone.
You don't have to be good at art to make art.
Well, that's all from tonight's news. There's more online and on our socials, as well as on our Radio Gibraltar news summaries on the hour, every hour from 7 in the morning. From the team and myself, thanks for watching. Good night.